He's one of those unique individuals. You can call him an anomaly, and you can also call Canelo Alvarez an anomaly. I feel Canelo grew and molded himself into an anomaly.
His IQ, his will, his determination, competitiveness. You know what I mean? He refuses to lose. Like, it's just, he got a whole different edge about him. Like Kobe, Jordan, Brady, you know what I mean?
15, he's been building and dreaming of being a champion his whole life. This is all Canelo ever known. Wasn't no football, no track, none of that. Boxing, bro. He live and eat and sleep the sport.
They say physics decides everything at 168. Mass force, gravity, but what if it does? What if one fighter's mind, his timing, his reads, his stubborn refusal to accept limits bends the numbers into something new? That's the question stalking this weekend. Canelo Alvarez, the undisputed ruler of super middleweight, defends the crown against the most dangerous idea in the sport, Terence "Bud" Crawford. No complicated pay-per-view pages, no excuses, just a global audience one tap away on Netflix. The lights will drop, the noise will rise, and two legacies will collide in the kind of fight that forces fans to pick a side with their hearts and then defend it with trembling hands. Because when skill stares down size, nobody breathes easy.
You understand? An iconic Mexican figure in boxing on Mexican Independence Day, bro. And he's facing one of his toughest challenges because it ain't been a dog in that ring like Crawford in a long time, bro. And I think his mental approach.
When trainers speak before a fight, you have to listen between the lines. It's not just about what they say, but how they say it. For Crawford's coach, Brian "Bomac" McIntyre, the message wasn't dressed in glitter or fear. It was flat, steady, and almost casual. His weight is good, his legs are fine, his mind is sharp, we've done our homework. The way he delivered it was unnerving, like a professor who already knows the answers to the exam. To Bomac, this fight isn't some wild gamble. It's a natural extension of work already finished. That quiet tone says more than chest thumping ever could. It tells you he's seen Crawford in those dark sparring rounds when fighters break, and he knows Bud didn't.
Whereas Bud, I think, more so was born an anomaly, and I think it took time for people to recognize just how talented and great he is.
On the opposite side, Eddie Reynoso projects calm too, but with a sharper edge. Reynoso has walked with Canelo since he was a teenager. He's seen him fight champions, boogeymen, legends, and doubters. He's seen him lose, rebuild, and then conquer divisions one by one. So when Reynoso smirks and says, Canelo is too smart to be tricked, he's seen every style. Crawford is talented, but experience is a weapon too.
Come on! Yeah, get it! 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 Get it! Come on! Yeah, move out the way! Yeah, move out the way! Yeah, move out the way! Yeah!
It doesn't sound like arrogance, it sounds like memory. He's pulling receipts from a library only he and Canelo own. Every style, every problem, every so-called puzzle has been solved before. Reynoso is betting that history repeats. Then you have the boxers who have shared gyms and rounds with these men. Shakur Stevenson, slick and cerebral himself, couldn't hide his admiration. Bud's IQ is different. He stays calm no matter what. He reads you, breaks you down, and then punishes you for mistakes you didn't even know you made.
Amazing fighter. I call him Kung Fu because he fights on different styles. He's, hard to hit and he hits hard. And he's boxing a guy that, he has to jump up in weight like 3 categories. And this man is like a body snatcher. He comes and he wears you down. So it's a great fight. He's boxed, I'm talking Canelo's boxed a lot of guys that move around.
Coming from a fighter who's built his own reputation on intelligence, that's a compliment that cuts deep. Shakur's words also echo what opponents like Kell Brook and Sean Porter have admitted after their losses. Crawford looks ordinary until he doesn't, and by then, it's too late. The corners aren't nervous. They're confident, but for very different reasons. Bomac trusts preparation and adaptability.
For reason, they're sort of trying to come up with reasons why Earl Spence didn't perform as well as they thought he was going to. But I think you just have to say Terence Crawford is that good.
Yeah.
I think he's just that good. And I think we found that. It doesn't mean that Errol Spence isn't amazing. He is. But I think Terence Crawford, I think you're looking at an all-time great.
Yeah.
I really do.
Reynoso trusts history and craft, and fighters close to them, they see two men who can make genius look casual. The loudest debate of this fight week isn't about skill, it's about physics. Crawford is moving up to 168 without a warm-up, without a test drive. Fans and pundits circle the same talking point, size, but ask the trainers and the split is stark.
Two of the best fighters in the game, pound for pound, undisputed. I mean, what else can we say? I mean, they landed on the line, and I commend both guys. It ain't too many people put their undefeated record on the line in a risky fight like Crawford did today. You feel me? Canelo has been a great champion for a real long time, and since he was 15, bro.
Bomac leans into memory. He's been sparring bigger guys since he was a teenager. This isn't new. People keep saying size, 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 but skills pay the bills. It's what you've got up here and in here. He taps his temple, then his chest. That line sums up Crawford's philosophy. It's not the body, it's the brain and the will. For years, Bud has been walking into gyms where heavyweights outweighed him by 30 pounds and still giving them nightmares. Bomac remembers those days, remembers how a skinny teenager kept his feet sharp enough to make grown men miss. Reynoso, though, won't let anyone dismiss weight. A body shot at 168 is not the same as one at 147. Canelo lives at this weight. He's comfortable here. Crawford is not. That matters. He says it like a man who has built Canelo's style around bodywork, years of drilling those thudding hooks to the ribs and liver. For Reynoso, weight isn't just a number, it's a weapon. Then there, Andre Ward, who has lived both truths. Ward made the climb from super middleweight to light heavyweight, and he remembers how it felt. This isn't about bulking up, it's about cutting less. People look at the scale and see a leap. What I see is a man who doesn't have to drain himself anymore. That makes you stronger, not weaker. Ward explained how he used to boil down until he looked gaunt, only to realize later that he was giving away strength. When he stopped, he became more dangerous. His warning is clear. Don't mistake Crawford's leap for desperation. It could be liberation.
Today I get some rounds with the GOAT. One of the GOATs. You know what I mean? Two GOATs. Iron sharpening iron.
Crawford's own sparring partners add the most visceral testimony. One of them shook his head and said, "This Bud is different. The power feels new. He didn't lose speed, but now the punches thud in a way you don't shake off. You block it and it still makes you think." That kind of feedback fuels belief in a camp. So whose truth holds? Bomac says experience against bigger men makes size irrelevant. Reynoso swears bodywork at 168 is physics, not theory. Ward frames it as freedom from weight cuts, and sparring partners simply describe the shock in their bones. Canelo has been under the microscope for years.
No sabe, Sean. ¿Por dónde, Sean? ¿Por where, Sean? Throw. Throw, Sean.
With every fight, people ask, is he slowing down? Are the reflexes fatting? Is Father Time finally catching up? Eddie Reynoso waves those questions off with a laugh. People love to talk. Less punches, slower feet, they don't know what they're seeing. We save the best for the nights that count. Canelo has gears you haven't seen yet. For Reynoso, the chatter isn't analysis, it's ignorance. He insists that what looks like decline is often calculation. Canelo doesn't waste punches, he stalks. He doesn't sprint early, he hunts late.
Terence Crawford wins, he's the pound for pound #1.
Absolutely, he's pound for pound right now, but you know, obviously he wants to test his strength out and his skill out on another champion, and you know, this is the way you do it. This is how you make history.
Crawford's team sees it differently. Assistant trainer Red Spikes gives Canelo all the respect in the world. Smart fighter, good traps, good defense, he sets you up. But he follows with cold certainty. IQ beats IQ when Bud picks the right tool at the right time. We're prepared for every situation, ropes, center, ring, it doesn't matter. To Spikes, the genius of Canelo is real, but it isn't untouchable. Every trap has a counter. Every rhythm has a break. Andre Ward, respected by both sides, offers the most balanced perspective. He praises Canelo's subtle craft, the way he disguises intentions, the way he forces opponents into mistakes they don't even see until they're on replay. But Ward adds a cautionary note: Bud's adaptability is rare. He can change stance, rhythm, and game plan mid-round. Canelo hasn't had to deal with that in years. Ward frames it as a clash of masterminds. One sets traps, the other escapes and resets them in real time. So what do the insiders see? Reynoso sees untouched brilliance waiting to be unleashed. Spike sees brilliance, yes, but brilliance with answers Bud already has. Ward sees two geniuses colliding and knows that when that happens, one mistake can end everything. No fight week is complete without gym rumors, and this one delivered. Word spread that Canelo brought in Jaron Boots Ennis, a fighter so slick and fast he makes seasoned champions look ordinary. For fans, that was a headline. For Reynoso, it was routine. Iron sharpens iron. We wanted the speed. We wanted the sharpness. That's how you prepare for someone like Crawford. His tone made it sound obvious. Of course you'd bring in the fastest welterweight on earth to mimic Bud's rhythm. Bomac, though, shrugged it off. Sparring means nothing under the lights. 16s and headgear, that's not Saturday night. People get carried away with names, but fights aren't won in practice. His words cut through the hype. To him, sparring partners are just training material, not destiny. Inside Crawford's camp, the whispers told a different story. Sparring partners described Bud at 168 as a man transformed. One said, he still has the same speed, but the power, it's different. He hits and it echoes. You feel it even through gloves. It's not hype. Those words don't make headlines, but they build belief in a team. And then came the echo from Errol Spence, the last man to share the ring with Crawford. He admitted what many doubters refused to believe. Bud's power is real. It's not angles, it's not trickery, it's real. Coming from a man who had felt it, that statement landed like a warning. The gym chatter paints two portraits. Reynoso's camp is sharpening tools against elite speed and timing. Bomac's camp dismisses sparring hype but quietly nods at new power. Sparring partners confirm what insiders feel but outsiders doubt, that Crawford might be carrying something unexpected into the ring. And all of it leaves fans where they started, hungry for answers only Saturday can deliver. There's a reason Canelo is still here, still headlining the biggest weekends on the calendar. It isn't just power or chin or fame, it's patience. He doesn't waste himself chasing ghosts. He'd rather watch, carve your rhythm down to size, and then reach into the timing pocket where you can't comfortably breathe. The jab doesn't always score, sometimes it builds. The foot pressure doesn't always look dramatic, sometimes it just narrows your escape routes until you realize the ropes are closer than they should be. People whisper about a smaller gas tank, about the accumulation of miles. They point to fights where he hunted single shots and let rounds drift by. That happens. It happens to everyone who fights at this level for this long. But when Canelo respects the man in front of him, he tightens the screws in ways you don't notice until the rewatch. He doubles the jab all of a sudden. He fakes the left hook to the body and loops it upstairs when you reach down to catch it. He inches his laid foot to steal the center line. Small choices, big effects. That's why aging Canelo talk never lands clean, because the craft doesn't age at the same speed as the legs, and craft beats training camp optimism every time it's allowed to breathe. If he decides to make this an attrition story, the early minutes will feel slow but weighted, the kind of rounds where one heavy body shot casually pulls a layer of air out of your lungs without the crowd even noticing. You nod like it's nothing, you back out like you planned it, and suddenly the next round starts with heavier feet. That's the old trick, make smart fighters feel clumsy for just long enough to doubt themselves. If Canelo finds that groove, the fight becomes a long walk that punishes impatience and rewards mean economy. And if he waits too long, then Crawford's rhythm will take over the quiet parts of each round, and quiet parts are where scorecards are written. So how does each man actually win rounds? For Canelo, the map is shaped like a funnel. He doesn't need to sprint, he needs to shepherd. Keep Crawford in the middle third of the ring where pivots become short, where the ropes start to hover behind the shoulder like a threat. Touch the body early, not to break him immediately, but to salt the road he has to run later. Take exchanges on your terms, head body, step, pause, head again. If he can make Bud admit that the safest place is right in front of him where nothing is safe, then the fight starts leaning red. For Crawford, the map looks like a series of sprung traps. He doesn't need to buzz Canelo with every shot, he needs to sting him often enough to price every step. The jab becomes a feint, becomes a right hand from southpaw, becomes a three-piece that lands two clean and one loud. The hook doesn't have to be fatal, it has to be timed. The exit doesn't have to be dramatic, it has to be punctual. His stance switches aren't party tricks, they're bait. When he flips the picture, he takes away a counter that was open 5 seconds ago and replaces it with something Canelo can't casually punish. If Bud's feet are there at minute 2 of each round, when tired fighters get honest and lazy fighters get punished, he can steal those middle minutes with clean touches that judges love. If those minutes feel like Crawford's, the last 20 seconds can become punctuation instead of rescue missions. There's a thin line between brave and reckless in a fight like this. The first corner that chases a bad idea for 2 straight rounds will lose this thing. If Canelo insists on single shots while Crawford scores in 2s and 3s, he'll give away math that power can't fix. If Crawford tries to turn every exchange into a statement instead of an accounting exercise, he'll give Canelo the counter he's been quietly building since round 1. That's how great fights get decided, not just by the highlight moments, but by 1,000 tiny choices that fans feel without noticing. People love the visible statistics, reach, knockout percentage, age, but the numbers that decide this fight live in places the broadcast can't measure. How many times does Canelo's left foot land outside Bud's in southpaw stance? How often does Crawford reset the range before Canelo can finish the trap? How many three-punch sequences does Bud string across a round without being forced to shell up in return? And the quietest number of all, how many deep breaths does each man need at the 2-minute mark? That's when strategies either hold or fray. That's when experience or freshness or stubbornness shows up and demands attacks. There's also the judging reality. This is Canelo's weekend in Las Vegas. That doesn't mean anything nefarious, it means optics matter. If a round feels close, somebody has to make it look clear. Crawford's best tool there is exit punctuation, a clean jab-right hook sequence in the final 15 seconds, a sharp check hook that lands with a sound the judges can't ignore. Canelo's tool is control, making the ring smaller, making Bud's feet look like avoidance instead of strategy, making the bodywork visible enough that the audience becomes part of the scoring soundtrack. Whichever team teaches the judges how to read the round first will bank the early lead. Let's talk about the stage behind the stage. Boxing used to guard its biggest nights behind a paywall that sometimes kept casual fans out of career-defining moments. Netflix changes that math. A fight like this lives differently when the whole world can visit it without doing arithmetic. That bigger window means more scrutiny, more conversation, and more pressure, because embarrassing nights go viral faster than triumphant ones. It also means opportunity. Deliver on this platform and your name spreads in rooms that weren't paying attention yesterday. All of that feeds the fighters whether they admit it or not. They know who's watching. They know which result breaks the internet and which result breaks hearts. Then there's the purse chatter, the rumor mill that adds noise to a week that already has it. Fans love numbers because numbers feel like certainty in a sport that has none. Fighters shrug because only one number matters after the bell. How many of your best decisions were made on time? Still, the conversation tells you the scale of the event. The world isn't just tuning in to see who lands the cleaner cross. It's tuning in to see who leaves with a narrative that shifts how we talk about greatness. When a fight sits on that kind of stage, careers can tilt with a single round. Legacy doesn't care about comfort. It asks for risk. It asks for a night that could go wrong in public and still calls your name. Canelo steps forward as the man who built an empire with pressure and craft. Crawford steps forward as the man who threatens empires with precision and nerve. One carries the crowd, the other carries an unbeaten ledger and a plan that makes giants look ordinary. If skill can warp physics, we'll see it. If pressure can drown brilliance, we'll see that too. And if both are true at once, then we're about to witness the kind of fight that makes new fans and changes old arguments. So here's the last question, the one that survives all the preview shows and sparring rumors and hot take storms. When the first clean counter lands, when the stadium inhales and time slows, who does the ring belong to? The king who dares challengers to take it from him, or the challenger who never believed it wasn't already his? Tell us where you stand. Because when the bell rings in Las Vegas and Netflix opens the doors to the world, every answer will be tested in leather and nerve, and the scorecards will tell us who wrote the next chapter in real time.